Welcome to One Little Spice, the Disney food podcast that isn't afraid to send you into the taste lab.
Welcome to episode 31, a trip down Culinary Lane. Memory Culinary Lane. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, I'm Julie.
And I'm Amy. Usually mumble on a lot longer, I'm sorry. And it was a particularly long Facebook post I started reading by accident.
All right, so this week we are talking about our cake decorating experience at Amorette's Bakery in Disney Springs. It was amazing, it was wonderful, it was phenomenal, but first...
I loved it.
Yo, it's time for Amy's Daily Dish. Amy, what's your dish?
Let's dish. Item 1. So we all remember that they started selling Mickey-shaped beignets at the Port Orleans, the Sausaluga Floatworks, and Food
Also,
Factory.
we still haven't gotten alcoholic ones yet.
No, we haven't. We have to do that. Well, they have just started selling a burger with beignets as buns. I know, Julie didn't know about this, and I didn't tell her about it. So the actual beignets are bigger than the standard Mickey ones, and then the
I would
ones...
hope so, because that would make a really tiny burger. Maybe like
And
beignet sliders.
And they're not shaped like a Mickey Mouse, but they're still massive and delicious.
Now, are they square beignets or are they circle beignets?
They are round. It comes with steak fries
Yum.
and slaw.
I love slaw.
And it is listed as an ongoing offering. So meaning it doesn't appear to be...
Like a limited time.
A limited time. Here, let me see. Okay, here we go. So it is topped with American cheese, bacon, pickled onions, house-made pickles, a barbecue bayou sauce, and a bacon jam. It just sounds like a really tasty burger, and I'm thinking when we go get our alcoholic Mickey beignets, we need to get ourselves a burger. But yeah, doesn't that sound amazing?
That sounds amazing. I want it so bad.
Item 2. So we talked about the Millennium Falcon ride that's going to pop up in the various Star Wars lands.
The Millennium Falcon has been finished being built.
It's super exciting.
It's so beautiful.
So we talked about how each ride vehicle would have 6 passengers that interact with the ride vehicle. Your experience.
Remember those choose your own adventure books? It's kind of like that,
Yeah.
but a ride.
Yeah, your experience will vary based on that. And that we said it was only 6 per compartment, and who knows what everybody else does. So there are only 6 people per ride vehicle.
Yes.
So if you get to interact, who you get to be and where you get to sit, that I don't know, but you get to interact. So
I wonder if you have to work together and make friends.
I don't know, who knows. But the Millennium Falcon ride, the Millennium Falcon ride will have enough pods to handle 1,800 people per hour. Now that means that
That's a big Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, that means that per hour they will go through 300 rides. So 300 experiences. So that doesn't mean that there's one pod that, and it's very short, but there are several pods with enough for those pods cumulative to run 300 times in an hour. Not knowing how long the ride experience is, or any
pods there actually will be,
or any other details, I can't tell you how many pods there will be.
Wouldn't it be awesome if there were 300 pods and you each got an hour experience?
That would be really exciting, but I don't see that happening. But yeah, so that is literally all we've got, all the new updated information. But also the interactive aspect of it, I was reading, because we talked about how it may, how you do on this ride, so to say, may affect other interactions through the land. You have the option to use the Play Disney Parks app. From what I understand, that will be somewhat
involved. So awesome. I played it while we were in the parks, and different music popped up when we were in different parts of the park, and different playlists, and there were games that you could play. It's a really cool interactive app, and awesome for the kids, but awesome for the kid in all of you.
So yeah, if you're going to the parks before Star Wars Land opens, pull up that app, play with it, enjoy it, have fun, get used to it.
Learn how to use it.
Exactly, learn how to use it so that when Star Wars Land comes around and you make your Star Wars Land visit, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge visit, then you'll be all set and ready and won't have to figure out how the app works because you'll already know, and you'll have lots of fun. So that is item number 2. Small Tiny. Item 3. Limited release Walt Disney World Railroad Magic Bands.
What?
It is the most unusual and different and kind of out there magic band theme I've seen. I'm coming around. It has a picture of Walt in an engineer cap. I've seen the picture before. He's actually in one of the Disney trains. And a picture of, I'm trying to see if it tells me which train it is. On the other side, there's a picture of one of the Disney trains, I believe. Yes. And it looks fantastic. And it has the Walt Disney World Railroad emblem on it. A chunk of my family that's really into railroads is also really into Disney World. And I was talking with them saying, hey, is there anything you want me to bring back? And we were discussing, I was like, well, there's a Walt Disney World Railroad Magic Band, but that's kind of like you have to explain to your kid beforehand that, no, this magic band doesn't mean we're going to Disney soon. It's just because you like trains. But no, it's really exciting if you're into trains, or if, say, you're going in a group big party and there's someone who's not super into Disney but's coming anyways and is into trains, this might be a great thing to pick up for them. But yeah, so it's super exciting, and it is the Magic Band 2, so it has the changeable puck, and it's red, and it's changeable puck, so if you want to switch that out, you can do that too. So that is it for my daily dish.
News on the nines. News on the nines.
News on the nines.
That's what it used to be called. What did you used to say when...
News on the... I don't remember. I'll have to look it up.
No, we'll have to listen to that. I don't remember what
This
Amy
is Amy
used to
with
say.
News on the Nines.
Is it?
It was something like that, but they're slightly different. Now I'm pulling up my photo.
All right, so here's how this worked. I actually wrote a review for this for one of the Disney food websites that we belong to, and I'm just going to read through that, and Amy's going to interject while I'm reading it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote, it'll be like Julie sharing a Disney food memory. You can also share your favorite Disney food memories with us at onelittlespice@gmail.com, or share it in a direct message on any of our social media. So Amy and I went to Amorette's patisserie this morning for their amazing cake decorating experience.
This morning was October 16th, 2017.
It was. And so we got there really early. And we're, like, so excited, and the doors weren't open yet, and I remember we just, like, were looking in the windows, and I think I have a picture of, like, looking in the windows, too, to be like, oh my god, we were so excited, we couldn't wait, because we went to pastry school, so this was a throwback to when we were in culinary school, and we were so excited about it. And we found out, like, the week before that they were, or, like, a couple weeks before that they were doing the Mickey Halloween one, which is literally, like, a Mickey pumpkin. Amazing. Yes. And they were only doing it on Mondays and Wednesdays. And our experience was on a Monday.
Yes. Now they still do that.
They do different holiday ones.
Yeah, the seasonal one.
And then they just have the regular, like, Mickey
if
dome cake on the rest of the days.
Yeah, so if you want either the seasonal one or the regular Mickey one, double check to make
which
sure
days it
which
is
they're
now,
doing.
because it may have changed.
They may have changed, or they may, temporarily just be doing a Mickey one. We don't know.
All right. So, first, I would like to say it is absolutely worth every penny. And
Agreed.
It was. So when we first heard about this, before we even did it, it said it was $129. And I thought that was $129 per person. And I was like, nope, that's ridiculous. We're not doing that. That's way too expensive to
and
get
I
one
was
cake
even more. No way. So.
And then I did a little bit more research, and it's only $129 for 2 people, which includes a large Amorette's dome cake. And this thing was like the size of my head. It was enormous. As well as unlimited beverages, which included coffees, lattes, mimosas, bellinis, and juice. So, the cake alone is either $65 for a regular Mickey or $75 for the seasonal dome, and you get to take it home. Hooray for dessert all week. So, we talked about it, and we were like, okay, so we're getting the $75 cake and unlimited alcohol.
Yeah.
For like 3 hours. It was a long little. It was about 2 hours, I'd say, for this experience. So of course, Amy and I's goal was to drink as many alcoholic beverages that we could, but still be able to put Mickey's mouth on straight.
Which is great because they're Bellinis and mimosas, so they're not very strong.
They were strong enough. They weren't like super, super watered down or juiced down, if you will. But they weren't as alcoholic as the fancy, crazy ones that we got at California Grill. So they were like a happy medium.
Yes.
And the Bellini was definitely my favorite peach.
I kept switching back and forth.
I did too, but I ended up getting more Bellinis at the end.
Yeah.
I think I did like mimosa Bellini, Bellini.
So most people will usually get like one and maybe like two a second one during the break. We're just like, keep bringing them to us, please. And it was funny because every so often it would be like trying to catch the guy because the guy was helping bring things.
His name was Steve.
His name was Steve, yes. Catch Steve and be like, hey, Steve, what? Could we get another one? So every so often, it would be periodically, he'd just come over and be like, would you guys like more? And he'd get us more.
Yeah, okay. So, Amorette's. Let's talk about that for a second. It is a really awesome bakery in Disney Springs. If you've never been, go. Everything is delicious. They also have the pineapple Dole Whip eclair, which is just a pineapple eclair. But it's amazing and phenomenal. And you walk in, and to the right, there are chefs that are actually constructing the desserts, and you can watch them do it. It's amazing. And then there are seats, and then you like walk around and look at all the pastries, and then you pay, and then you eat. They also have like sandwiches and stuff too. But they cleared out like all the tables and chairs for this event, and we were basically sitting in the front of Amorette's, and it was like this U-shaped table, and each of us had a station, and then the chefs were at the front explaining everything to us, and there was like so much lighting, and it was magical and amazing and wonderful.
Yeah, it really is. They've created a really good setup for doing this event. I don't
actually have a comment about it.
Oh, I was like, I don't. Yeah. Well, go ahead, and then I'll add.
So I said, so we peeked in the window before the whole event started and saw the setup, which was insanely clean and super professional.
Yes.
Super professional.
Yes. So, as far as I know, they weren't originally planning to do classes, or maybe they whatnot, but they definitely didn't build the venue specifically for classrooms, but they found the best possible way to set it up, the best use of space, so everyone was involved, everyone could see what's going on, no one's being like, oh, hey, they said if you really need to see something closer, let us know.
Come on up.
We'll come up. They were super fun and accommodating.
Yes, it was amazing. So we went to pastry school together. That's how we met, which you guys already know, so I don't know why I added that. And we were a bit concerned going into the event that we may be too advanced. However, it was just the right amount of culinary nerdy. Oh my gosh, we did that in school to keep us entertained. But it was definitely catered to all abilities, and every cake came out awesome. So they really give you the step-by-step. They don't make it too hard, and it was just it was just such a fun experience, and they gave us enough like culinary tips and explained things enough so that like we weren't super bored, but also had enough intro culinary stuff that everybody felt like it was perfect for their abilities.
So they do go over how to create, stack, and initially ice the dome. That is already done for you, and to be perfectly honest, Oh, okay. Well,
but yes.
That is already done for you, and to be perfectly honest, it should be, because even if you know what you're doing, if it's not something you do day in and day out, it would take you quite a while to get to that point. Pretty much everything after and I don't mean the glaze on top, I just mean like the base buttercream layer is where you start, and then everything else you do.
Yep. So it says, when we entered, we were able to order our first drink. We got mimosas, and even though it wasn't on the menu, we asked for a shot of espresso to wake us up a bit. This was a pretty early morning. They were more than happy to oblige. And then I said they started by explaining the history of Amorette's, and then they talked about what kind of cake we would be making. They gave everyone a sample of the cake and the buttercream frosting to try as they were explaining, so we knew just how delicious everything was. And there was a hidden Mickey in the buttercream frosting.
Now, the history of the Amorettes is, of course, similar to the history of the Dino Institute in Animal Kingdom. how the Dino Institute was, I believe, founded in 1971, which of course, Animal Kingdom opened in 1998. So you can take that information. So it is a very well and believable Disney created history.
Yes, and I wrote in quotation marks the history of Amorette's. The cake was delicious. I don't know if I have any information, but I have a picture of it. So it was a chocolate cake, and then, here we go. Chocolate cake, milk chocolate mousse, milk chocolate crispy pearls, and an orange pâte de fruit jelly.
I love
jelly.
Pâte de fruit jelly.
Fruit.
I want that in every cake ever.
Just absolutely phenomenal. And I have a picture of it, and it just looks amazing. And it was so delicious. All right. And then I say, which Amy sort of explained, Misha, who was our pastry chef, told us how the cakes were assembled and showed us how they apply the buttercream, all while talking to us, which was impressive. Literally, this girl, first off, she's icing a dome in buttercream frosting. And while she is talking to us, not even looking down at it, she is frosting this cake to perfection. It was so impressive.
It really was.
And then basically the only reason why, because I'm sure they would have let us buttercream our own cakes, but the reason why we didn't buttercream our own cakes is because the buttercream was soft as she was putting it on, and you would have need to let it sit in a fridge for at least an hour before you could have put the jellies on. So to save on time, they had the cakes assembled and put the buttercream on initially before we got to pour the glaze on.
Yeah. And honestly, it probably would have taken a good half hour or so to get everyone's dome cakes properly domed. You know what I'm saying? We would have been fine, and I'm sure there's a handful of others that also, had previous cake decorating experience, professional or otherwise.
And I feel like it's part of the experience too.
Yeah.
If it wasn't perfect, it still would have been cool. But
but
there would have been no time
to
for
get
the buttercream to chill.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have, after the buttercream application, Steve, who was awesome, delivered a buttercream frosted dome to each pair. We were given measuring cups of the orange glaze, because we made the seasonal Mickey pumpkin, and they told us how to glaze. So we put on 3 coats in total, and between each coat, we painted the white chocolate ears with black cocoa butter, and she showed us how they made the pumpkin stems out of modeling chocolate.
That is accurate, and that's what happened. In between the layers, while she was showing us how to do the different things, they did put it in the fridge in the back to chill. They had told us that they were going to go over them with a torch just to kind of smooth everything out at the end, and I think they did, yeah.
But, so our ears were white chocolate, and so cocoa butter is basically the base of white chocolate, and it's kind of oily.
It is the
it's
liquid portion of
chocolate. And so they dyed it black, and that's what we painted the ears with.
Yeah,
we put 3 layers on it, which we did in between each layers of the glaze.
Yes.
And so we have pictures of the first coat of glaze, and then we have videos of us pouring the glaze as well. I think Amy got 2 and I got 1. Who knows?
I think we did that because you clearly were going to be the one to put the face on.
Yes.
Because, as nice as my face would have turned out, it wouldn't have been quite right. So I was like, Julie, you can put the face on because I know you need to.
Yes. And let's see. So it was actually timed out perfectly. So even though they needed to go in to chill with the glaze on them, we weren't sitting and waiting and doing nothing. There was something to do, and she was talking to us and telling us about things, so it was really awesome. And then, once the cake had 3 coats of glaze, we took a 10-minute break and were able to watch the chefs create some of the wonderful cakes they served during the day. One of the girls told us that they sell 300 mini Mickey cakes every day. Whoa.
That's a lot of cakes.
It was awesome to talk to them and share our culinary experiences, too. So we have some pictures, and they were making mini Mickey pumpkin cakes.
Yes. So side note, as they were saying, they sell 300 mini Mickey cakes every day. If there is an item on Amorette's menu that you like an individual dessert like that you see that you're like, hey, I totally want to get this. If it's sort of a make or break, you absolutely have to get that. Try to go earlier in the day because they will sell out.
Because
if it's
when
popular
they have hundreds of mini Mickey cakes, they're more specialized
Yeah.
pastries, they do not make as many of and will sell out of. Like the pineapple eclair that we had definitely sells out every day. So we got there right as Disney Springs opened.
Yeah, we got there fairly early. Not to say that if it's in the evening, you shouldn't bother going into Amorette's.
There's always something that you can find to be delicious, that you will find, that you will love, that you will want to try. But if there's something specific that you really, really, really want to try, make sure you get there early.
Yes, that's all really what we're saying.
Otherwise, meander in and pick a dessert from what they have because it's all amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
And then we took a break because our cakes needed to chill. And that's when they torched them. So the glaze was a little bit cooler than they anticipated, and so it was a little bit congealed as we were putting it on. So they took a torch to it, which warmed it up a bit and smoothed out the glaze layers.
And this break is when everyone else got their second mimosa, and we got our fifth.
Fourth, fifth, something like that. Yes. So after the break, we came back and were able to complete the cakes. They gave us all of the pieces, and we got some creative liberty. Not really. There was no creative liberty. There was like, here, this is exactly what it's supposed to look like. Do that. They did give us some tips on how to place things perfectly too, which we did. So I guess you could place it however you want. We wanted him to look awesome and perfect, so we followed the instructions.
Like, I think that we had the best looking cake.
Oh, we totally did.
But we didn't say that in front of everyone else.
No, of course. Everybody's looked awesome.
And they
Ours
really,
is the best.
Honestly, everyone's did look awesome.
It's true. There was impossible to fail. They all looked amazing.
Yeah.
After they were fully decorated, they had each of us come up and write our names on the back of the cakes. Amy is my Disney wife, so I wrote on the back Disney wives. And we went to culinary school and bragged about it, so clearly I had to step up my my piping game. Yeah. And I wrote Disney wives in the Walt Disney font.
It was fantastic. So a lot of people don't know how to pipe words onto a cake. Specifically a dome-shaped cake with an actual proper, it was the parchment triangle,
cone thing.
Cone, thank you. So most people were actually having the instructor write the name on it.
Yep.
Like a handful of people, mostly the ones that had kids.
Like the little kids wanted to
Yeah,
write
the
it
little kids
themselves.
wanted to try, which is fine. Most people just had them. But Julie's like, obviously we have to do this. And I'm like, go ahead, because you have better handwriting and drawing fonts than I do.
All right, so I wrote this experience. Well, as a graphic designer, I hope I know the heck I'm doing with fonts.
Yes. Yeah, when Michael and I get married, between you and Michael, we're just going to have beautiful words on everything.
I can't tell you how many times Amy has said that. I
What?
think probably 4 or 5 times just on this podcast. So if you've heard it before too, that's all right. Michael's paying me back when I do all the stuff for his wedding when I get married.
That's true.
All right, so I wrote this experience was absolutely amazing and totally worth it. We each had 4 mimosas, bellinis, total of 8, and made a $75 cake. Okay, so let's just talk.
$75?
I know, that would have been worth it. All right, so let's just talk about this. 8 mimosas. We'll say on the cheap side, $10 a piece. We'll just ballpark it.
Yeah, in Disney, you would expect between 9 to 13.
Yeah, so we're gonna call it 10.
10.
Your average mimosa is $10 wherever you go. So we had $80 worth of drinks, plus 2 shots of espresso, which are probably about $8 a piece too. So we'll just call it $100 worth of drinks.
Yep.
We got to take home a $75 cake, and we got this amazing 2-hour experience with incredible chefs and just awesomeness for $129. It was brilliant, and it was amazing, and we treated ourselves, and I loved the experience. I know Amy did. I definitely want to go back and do it again.
Yes.
Maybe during a different season.
Yes, definitely. So, tips for when to do this, if this makes sense. So, as we said, it's a large cake. It could easily feed a lot of people. So, if you have a smaller group, doing it at the beginning of your stay would be a smart thing, because then you can take it back to your hotel room. If you take it, the box is beautiful, and if you take everything out very carefully, it'll fit into your mini fridge to keep everything safe.
I think we did it on it was our second or third day.
Yeah, it was one of the for earlier days, and you can eat it the rest of the time.
It was on a Monday.
Yeah. If you have a larger party, do it whenever you need it. It was 95 degrees that day, so
we took it straight back to our room to put it in the fridge,
Yes.
and it survived. And, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you this. So, they put it on display in the cases afterwards for like a little while so everybody could see it and take a picture of it, and it's awesome. And then, and I believe they do this with all of the large cakes, they package it in a hat box. It's just the perfect touch ever, and it's amazing. And actually, I remember that day when we left, we got on a music bus and asked if he would drop us off at Sports because we had the cake, and there were like 3 other people on the bus, and he's like, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, so they will hold, when they put it in the cases and all that, because most people are going to go do something else in Disney Springs before they leave Disney Springs. So they will hold it for you basically all day. It has your name on it. You know, once they move it from the front case into the back, it's there. They're not going to give it away. They know what theirs are and whose is whose. So
yeah, they have little labels for them, and they put them next to them when they put them in the back.
So if you want to...
You also wrote your name on the back of it, so they know whose it is.
So if you want to spend your entire day in Disney Springs...
Or anywhere else.
And come back, you just have to come back and get it before they close, clearly. They will hold it for you. It'll be safe. You don't have to tag it along into the world of Disney or...
Yeah, and it's one of those things that if you stay off of Disney property and you drive in and you do Disney Springs and then you go to one of the parks and then you're not leaving to go back to your like house you rented or whatever until the end of the day, they'll also hold it.
Yeah, so...
You just have to pick it up before they close for that day.
Yeah. That's a good thing because even if it wasn't 95 degrees out, bustling around with that cake, it's probably, not be looking so
probably
great.
Anything 75 degrees or over, that thing would melt by the end of the day.
But that cake in itself, just because of how it's constructed, it's constructed, it would be, falling apart.
It was definitely a sturdy cake.
Yes, but I mean, like,
it's a sturdy cake chilled.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Now, we went, as we said, when we picked it back up, we went straight to the bus.
Yeah, because I think we looked at dresses. And you bought the tiki dress.
Yes, I bought my tiki dress that day.
But yeah, straight to the bus, got on the first bus we saw. Well, the first bus to our resort. We saw, went back, and then... I don't even know what we did the rest of the day. I think we just hung out by the pool because we had the chef's table at Victoria and Albert's that night.
Yeah, it was it was like the ultimate treat yourself day.
It really was.
October 16th, 2017.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And at the end of the month, you will get our Victoria and Albert's chef's table experience.
Heads up, it's probably going to be a really long podcast.
It'll probably be a similar length to our Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
Yes.
Gosh, that'll be fun.
If it's any longer, we might have to break it up into 2. I don't know.
All right, so this week we do not have a fan favorite food from one of you. Shame on you. I'm just kidding. But please share your Disney food memories with us. You can share them in an email to us. That is onelittlespice@gmail.com. Or you can send it in a direct message on any of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Please share it.
Really want to share your Disney food memories. We love hearing them. I love reading them. They're so much fun because we know how we Disney, but everybody Disneys differently. And we want to hear your Disney food memories because we want to hear what makes you happy and your favorite part about Disney. And it's Treat Yourself Month. So if you have a Disney food memory where you super crazy treated yourself and went all out and did something that you don't normally do and splurged a bit, share it with us. Let us know. We want to hear them.
We totally do.
So this week's fan favorite food comes from Julie and Amy, the host of the One Little Spice podcast. If you haven't listened to it, it's a really great podcast where the two hosts talk about a different Disney food restaurant every week and go over their awesome experiences. They're 2 pastry chefs and they met in culinary school and they love Disney, so they decided to start a Disney food podcast. It's called One Little Spice because they love Figment, and the song from The Journey into Imagination is called One Little Spark, so they thought, why not One Little Spice since it's a food podcast?
I love the number of times we didn't have to explain that to people.
Yes.
I was surprised that we didn't have to explain it.
Or like we did like start to explain it and they're like, no, we totally got that. So awesome.
Yes.
Figment. It was so great. No, but honestly, if you all love our podcast, please share it with all your friends because we want to be able to reach everybody and share our Disney magic and help you create Disney magic. So please share us with everybody you know.
Please share us.
So,
please, sir, I'd like a share.
Please, sir, I want some shares.
You wouldn't say no to Tiny Tim, sir.
His name wasn't Tiny Tim. That was Oliver.
I know.
It was Oliver Twist.
But I was trying to connect it to Christmas. And the holiday season.
So, this story starts 2 weeks before Amy and I's vacation, when Amy went down to Disney and tried to get the Maleficent.
Maleficent.
The Maleficent. Cone during not the Christmas party. Nope, it was the Halloween party. Now, let's just talk about how she went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, and had she known that she would have only be able to get it at the Halloween party because it was selling low, she would have gotten one and not waited.
Yes. But literally from the beginning of the Halloween season in Disney,
They said that it was available all the time.
and everyone was buying it all the time and having zero problems. So it's our last day, and so I go up middle of the
Of her
day-
trip with Phil,
Of our
her
trip
friend.
with Phil. Of our trip with Phil. Of my trip with Phil.
I wish I was there too. I love Mickey's Not So Scary
And so
Halloween
we went
party.
over to get it, and I was super excited. And I walk up, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have it." And so I'm like, "Is there any way you can make one?" And they're like, "Well, it's only at the party." I was like, I had my wristband on. I didn't take my wristband off until
Until,
we
like,
were
our trip.
yeah, until our trip. Wristband on. I was here the other day, and so I was trying to see if they could make one for me, and they just absolutely couldn't. And I understand.
And the guy tried really hard and wanted
Yes.
to give her some Disney magic, but
he said
his
if
hands were
you-
super tied. They
Yeah.
would not let him. They wouldn't even give him a cone to put the stuff in, because it's literally a black cone with
Yeah.
the like key lime soft serve that they
Yes.
have all the time because they do it with the Peter Pan float, and he
Yeah.
couldn't.
He did everything he possibly could to try to, make my disappointment magical, and, applaud him for that, and I in no way was angry at him or upset.
She was disappointed.
I
but
was
it wasn't his
disappointed,
fault.
but it wasn't his fault, and I knew it wasn't his fault. And so he even offered, one of the things he offered, he's like, if you come back, right at the beginning of the party, even if you're not coming to the party, I'll give you one for free, no problem. And I was like, I was like, I can't, because we were leaving that night. So unfortunately, I didn't get my cone. So I was disappointed, but I didn't blame him, but I didn't get my cone. So we went home, no big deal. So now we're on our trip.
All right. So fast forward 2 weeks to our current trip. Amy and I are walking through. I think we went on the Seven Dwarfs and needed to use the restroom. So the closest one was in Beauty and the Beast world, next to Gaston's Tavern. So Amy's like, "Oh my gosh, they're doing archery," and I was like, "Got a restroom." So we come out, and I'm like, do, and I don't really say anything to Amy. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I just like stood in line, and she's like, "Okay, so this is what we're doing." And there were like 14 little kids, and they were adorable, and they were shooting the arrow and trying to get it. And then we see this one kid standing off to the side, and he's like, "Hold on right here." And he like runs away and comes back out with LeFou's brew for this little kid. And I was like, yeah. So cue to like a few minutes later when it's finally our turn. So I archery, and I get it in whatever bullseye you have to get in to get
Yes.
LeFou's brew. But he just told me to stand off to the side. And then Amy did the same thing and told her to stand off to the side, and then was like, "Hey, do you want to be taught how to shoot some archery with Gaston? Because he'll be over in about 5 minutes." And we're like, "Yeah, sure." And we're like, "Okay, so we're not getting LeFou's brew.
No problem.
But we're gonna get like a photo op with Gaston teaching us how to shoot a bow and arrow." So super cool, super fun. So we're waiting there for probably about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, yeah, he's coming over." And we see that there's a huge line, and they like cut off the line, but there's still like at least 10 people in the line.
Yeah. More than that, I think.
There was at least 10.
Yeah.
It was like 10 groups at least. And he was like, "Ugh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on. Have a seat." And then he brings out LeFou's brew. So Amy and I get free LeFou's brew. And I gotta say, I do not like apple juice. But this frozen apple juice concoction with passion fruit foam on top was so delicious. It was so
Yeah,
good.
it wasn't nearly as sweet as regular apple juice.
Not at all. Not at all. It was amazing. It was so yummy. And we're still sitting. And then he closes up the archery thing, and it's like, "I'm so sorry. I thought he was coming over. I guess he's not. Do you want one of the cinnamon buns?" Like, I feel really bad. "Do you want one of the cinnamon buns?" And I was like, "Yes, extra frosting." So we were so excited about this that I don't think we have a picture of
We
the
have
cinnamon bun. We have a picture of like the cinnamon bun with the LeFou's brew. I got some really excellent pictures. Yes.
Yeah.
I got some really excellent pictures of the brew of LeFou.
inside.
Yes. And I don't know if they always put red frosting on the top or it was
It's
just
for the
because of the
holiday.
holidays, but I was like, there's not enough frosting on top, and then we thought it was like strawberry sauce, but it was just red colored frosting, and it was magical and amazing and delicious.
It's delicious.
It was so good. Okay, so let's just talk about this cinnamon bun. I'm glad I didn't pay for it.
Yeah, I would say
I
that.
wasn't that impressed. Okay, so we come from the land of Cinnabons, and Cinnabons are ooey and gooey and have so much like frosting and filling inside of them that make them so moist and so amazing. This one was just kind of like dry.
So
It wasn't bad. It had great flavor, but I'm used to crazy moist magical Cinnabon buns.
I don't do the Cinnabon too often, but I know what Julie's talking about, and I would agree they're really moist. I would say that this is probably, having not tried all the cinnamon buns, but having seen many people on the internet talk about all the different cinnamon buns and show pictures and give their thoughts on the cinnamon buns in Disney World, this is probably one of the better cinnamon buns that you can get on Disney property in Florida. It's not overcooked, it's not too hard. The inside is fully cooked, mind you, because I know.
Do you know what song I just got stuck in my head as you were saying? The best you can get. Albuquerque was a turkey, and he's feather, and he's fine. I don't know what the rest of the words are. He's the best pet you can get yet, and he's absolutely mine. No,
Yeah.
okay. Anyway,
Yeah, I know some people have, I've never had this be a problem, but I've had people say that Cinnabon is undercooked, and I'm like, no, they're not cooked. Maybe you just got a bad one. But this was fully cooked, but it was still nice and soft
Overcooked.
and delicious inside.
too dry for Julie.
It was a little dry. Yeah, the Cinnabon, the juices kind of like go through the spiral where most other cinnamon buns, they have like a cinnamon sugar mixture and then they cover the top. So that's why Julie's saying it's not, moist enough. But as far as cinnamon buns on Disney property go, nice and moist. So, do we have anything to say to that before I connect it to the first story?
Nope.
Okay, so as we're walking away, and I never said this because I was like, I didn't want to bring it up until like we were walking away. The guy who was running the archery and got us and gave us all these wonderful
Disney
concoctions,
magic!
Disney magic, was the guy that couldn't sell me the cone 2 weeks earlier. Now, I wasn't going to bring it up and be like, hey, I thought for a second, I was like, before any of it happened, I should have been like, hey, last week you were here, I just wanted, that like, I totally know it wasn't your fault, but I was like, why am I going to bring that up? I'm not gonna. So I didn't. But it was just crazy because it was absolutely the same guy because he had a very distinctive face and his name was like Francisco?
Something like that.
Yeah, his name was Francisco, which is also a very distinctive name. And so I remembered him and I'm just like, that is crazy because, he's just clearly a beacon of Disney magic because he was trying to, turn my disappointment into magic the last trip, and then he's just making all this magic this trip. It's just so magical, Francisco.
Thank you, Julie and Amy, for sharing your Disney food memory. We really love hearing them. If you want to share your Disney food memory on our podcast, please send them to onelittlespice@gmail.com or send us a direct message to any of our social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Make sure you follow us on social media. So on Instagram, we are @1_little_spice. On Twitter, we're @1littlespice. And on Facebook, we're One Little Spice. And then make sure that you join our One Little Spice group so that you can keep up the discussion after the podcast is done. We're on Patreon. On Patreon, you can sign up for some awesome exclusives. We have extra magic episodes called Magical Snack Corner. We have a button pack, we have a spice blend, we have some really awesome things going on over there, and by supporting us there, you can help us get even more Disney food content out to you even more often. So that's it's patreon.com/onelittlespice, and we are trying to get our website set up, so once we have enough funds for that and we hit our first goal, we'll be able to start setting up our website, and it'll be awesome and amazing, and we're so excited about it. We're on TeePublic. On TeePublic is where you can get our merchandise. If you search One Little Spice on TeePublic, we pop up. You can also click the link in the description, and that's where you can get some t-shirts, some mugs, sweatshirts, baby onesies, all sorts of great stuff. And we are on YouTube. We are the Taste Lab, so make sure you head there and subscribe. We do videos. We try and get them out once a month. It's been a while. Make sure you subscribe so that you are up to date on all of our latest videos. We bring Disney food magic into your kitchen with some recipes from the park and recreations of our own. So far we've done Le Cellier's cheddar cheese soup, which we converted into poutine. That was amazing. And we did the 7 vegetable terrine from Acker's House. And we have Hollywood Brown Derby's chopped Cobb salad coming up, as well as the Kona Tonga toast with Kona coffee, French press style. Super delicious. And some more in the future. So make sure you subscribe to that so you can bring some Disney magic into your own kitchen. Thank you so much for listening. You guys are awesome. We love you. And just remember, every recipe starts with one little spice. I have to actually say welcome.